So many women I speak to are building incredible businesses, but they're still hiding. They're holding back from visibility, not because they don't want it, but because they're scared to be seen, of being judged, misunderstood, or too much.
People are very afraid of what they will think of them, and nobody really knows who they are. But we're afraid of like these random people on the internet judging us, thinking that we're cringe, or who the hell does she think she is for making that video?
That's why I had to have today's guest on, Jen Gottlieb. She is the former Broadway actress turned visibility powerhouse, co-founder of Super Connector Media, host of the Jen Gottlieb Show, and a best-selling author of Be Seen. She's a top keynote speaker. She empowers entrepreneurs to overcome fear, own their story, and stand out with confidence and clarity, teaching women how to stop playing so damn small and finally own their spotlight. In this episode, we're going deep into what visibility really costs, the mindset shifts you need, how to be seen, how to land the opportunities you want, and what it takes to stay grounded when the noise gets loud. So if you know you're meant for more and you're ready to be truly seen, this is the episode that will change how you see yourself. Let's get into it. Jen Gottlieb, welcome to Unstoppable Success.
Jess, I'm so happy to be here. Welcome to America.
Oh my gosh, thank you. The last time I was in Miami, I actually haven't experienced Miami properly, I don't think, because last time I was here was maybe 8 years ago, and I only stayed in the old part of South Beach, and I didn't realize there's a whole other part to South Beach, let alone Miami in general. And now I'm only back for 24 hours. So I don't think I'm going to get to see much of it again, but I'll have to come back.
Great excuse to come back. So next time you'll let me know ahead of time.
Yes.
And we'll do a South Florida adventure.
Amazing.
Together next time.
Yeah. Would love all the recommendations.
It's on the record.
The tips. Love it. You are the queen of visibility and being seen, but who was Jen before all the spotlights?
Well, Jen, I don't like saying myself in third person. I've always been a girl that loved the spotlight. Now, we talked about being introverts, and I have a different definition for introversion. And my definition is that I can, I'm not shy at all, but I get my energy from being alone. So I expend my energy when I'm out and around people. But for my entire life, even though I am an introvert that gets energy from being alone, I love a good spotlight. I love a good stage. I've loved a good stage since I was 2, 3, the moment I came out of the womb, basically, I was singing and dancing and wanting the camera on me and wanting to perform. Yeah. So but what's interesting is that visibility for me up until, I guess you could say, about 7 years ago, was very performative. And it was always, what do I have to be for you in order for you to see me?
Yeah.
What kind of character do I have to play? What kind of version of myself do I have to become in order for you to like me, in order for me to get a job, in order for my parents to approve of me? My parents always approved of me. I had the most amazing parents in the world. But for some reason, I still was always performing. I can do this, and look at me do this. And especially during the time in my life when I was an actress, I got really, really, really lost in needing to become a version of myself that I thought I needed to become in order for people to approve of me and to be liked. And if you saw me back during that time, I was on a TV show all about heavy metal music called That Metal Show on VH1. Yeah. I had platinum blonde hair.
Wild. Now, and you're here in the whites, and it's such a stark difference.
Yeah, if you Google me, if you backstalk me, it's very opposite. And but I was an actress, and I wanted to get a job, and so I was like, I will be whatever you want me to be, and do whatever you want me to do in order for me to work and do my quote unquote dream, what I thought I was put on this planet to do. It's funny because sometimes what we think is the thing. Like, I thought it was traditional acting and performing.
Yeah.
Turns out that it's not the thing, but you have to do the thing in order to realize that it's not.
Always.
It was a different version, and I'm sure we'll get to that in this podcast, but. Bleached my hair blonde. I wore all these heavy metal outfits. I had no idea who the bands were. And before I knew it, I had completely lost myself. And if you look back, it's funny, I spent some time watching old videos of myself during that time. And I had dead face because I knew deep inside that I was not being myself.
Yeah.
I was not showing up truthfully and authentically. I was being seen by lots and lots of people. But I was in no way, shape, or form allowing the world to truly see Jen.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that I actually started to become successful in any way until I started to allow the world to really see me. And I still am on that journey.
Yeah.
And I could give you an example of something that happened yesterday, but I think we're always figuring out who we truly are and flexing our authenticity muscles, every time we pull out a camera, because there's always some level of performativeness that we have to get over.
Yeah.
But it was very extreme when I was younger. And so that was my past.
Yeah. How did you win those moments where you felt like you'd lost yourself? Because I think it's so relevant, whether it's on a TV show, whether it's even on social media, we can start to show up in a way that we feel like our audience want to have us show up in, or we see other people showing up in a certain way and we think, oh yeah, that is a part of me. I feel like that is authentic. And we start showing up and as we strip back the layers, we start to realize, oh, I was still hiding. I was still holding a mask. Was there a moment that you decided, okay, I'm ready for people to see the real me? Or was it just a gradual unveiling of who is Jen?
I would say that it was very gradual, and it's still gradual. I'm still on the journey.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to remind myself every day and ask myself the questions and go on the wonder walks and pray and ask and journal and do the actual work and ask myself, am I really being myself right now? Because we can slip into it very easily.
Yeah.
We want to be liked. I'm a people pleaser. I will admit I want people to like me. So I can slip into that performative nature sometimes. But I think that it's all about repetition with everything. Practice is how we get good at things.
Yeah.
We can't get good at push-ups if we don't do push-ups. We can't get good at being on camera as ourselves if we don't practice being on camera. And so I forced myself to start, I was very inspired by my husband, Chris, actually. When I met him, he was doing this Facebook Live challenge. Facebook was the big thing back when I met him.
Yeah.
And he was going live on Facebook every single day for, I think it was like a year. And it didn't matter if we were in an airport or we were on a date or wherever we were, he was going live on Facebook. And I remember thinking I would never, ever, ever do that, because that was really allowing people to see you.
Yeah.
Because back in that time, it was like you post a static image with a cute quote and that's it. And you don't let anybody see you with a zit or no makeup on or walking down the street or, oh my God, never. And I remember I was very inspired by him, and I wanted to challenge myself to start getting more comfortable in front of the camera and being myself. So I just turned it on and I started forcing myself to do it. And every time I did it, I got a little more comfortable. And now I still do it every day. I go live every single morning, Monday through Friday, and I put my makeup on Instagram live.
Yeah.
And I get my discomfort reps in, meaning I show the world myself with no makeup. I answer questions that I don't know what the questions are going to be before they ask me. And I practice speaking off the cuff, and I practice talking to, quote unquote, I use this analogy and you're going to hate it, but it's like friends I would fart in front of.
Yeah.
So,
I love that.
Those friends that will love you no matter what. If you can think about, this is for everyone that's listening, think about who those few people are in your life where you could sit across from them for 3 hours and no one needs to say anything and you're still totally okay. Or you could fart, or you could have no makeup on, hair in a top knot, totally gross, eating your favorite junk food.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't judge you, they would love you. Think about those people and how you act and how you feel and how you show up when you're around them. Then when you go to create content, here's a really great hack.
Yeah.
If you're creating a video, and this is a tactical hack for you guys, pull up the phone and say, let's say the person that you're I'll give you an example. That person for me is Chris. So say, hey, person. So I'm hey, Chris, and then do the video like you're talking to that person that you're super comfortable around, and then just cut the hey, Chris part. And that's a really great way to get into the energy that you would have when you're just being your true self.
Yes.
Right? Because we can practice doing that more and more and more with a camera on us if we visualize that we're sitting around our friends that we would fart in front of.
Yes.
And if you wouldn't fart in front of anybody, then friends that you would sit around and not talk with for an hour.
Yeah. Oh, that is such a good tip, because I think depending on who you're around, sometimes you're different versions of yourself. If you're in the corporate world, you may bring a different energy. If you're on stage, you're a different energy. If you're at home with the top knot, you have this different energy. But I think that's the best hack that I've heard, because it's so clear. You no longer have to know exactly who you are in every situation. It's just in those raw, vulnerable moments to show up in that way and let the world see it. And it can be scary, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Yes.
Because we are naturally afraid of, I talk to a lot of people, and so I don't want to make a blanket statement that everybody's afraid of this, but I would say the majority of the people that I speak to, they're not necessarily afraid of failure. Right? We know we're going to fail. We get it. People are very afraid of what they will think of them, and nobody really knows who they are.
Yeah.
Like who's they? Okay, who are you afraid of? Like, is it? And they're like, maybe an old boss that I had ages ago, or like my roommate from college. I'm like, when was the last time you spoke to that person? I don't know but we're afraid of like these random people on the internet judging us, thinking that we're cringe, or who the hell does she think she is for making that video?
Yeah.
And or just maybe even feeling like an imposter, like who am I to talk about this topic, and like I'm not an expert in this. When we can remember, and it gets a little deep here because this is really the driver for me when I start to think about that, because I worry, like, what will they think of me, or will they like this? Or I just posted something yesterday that I was absolutely terrified to post because it was something true to me, but I thought that other people wouldn't like it and I would lose followers as a result.
Yeah, and how did it go?
It went great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you that in detail. We'll circle back around. But I always have to remind myself, this is what I ask in my mind is, do I want to get to the end of my life on my deathbed and say, I didn't show up the way that I wanted to show up in this world because of these random people and what they would think of me, when by that time, none of those people even care. Those people probably aren't even around anymore, and I don't even know who those people are. So if we allow these random people on the internet, or the story we're telling ourselves of random people and what they might think of us, control our destiny, that is like the saddest day.
Yeah.
So I got to put the blinders on. And I'll tell you about the post yesterday, because I think it aligns with this.
Yes.
I think Chris, you'll appreciate this. He pushed me to do this. So I went to Texas last weekend. I was speaking in San Antonio for the Aspire tour.
Yes.
But I went a little early to go to Houston to spend some time with my best friend, Gabrielle Lyon. And her husband's a Navy SEAL. And they love to go to the shooting range and shoot guns. And they took us all to the shooting range. And I'm like, this will be so fun. I can learn how to shoot a gun.
Yeah.
And I felt like super empowered. This is something that I think that everyone should know how to do to be able to protect themselves. And it was great. And I got these really cool videos of me shooting a gun. I sent them to Chris, and he was like, that's so badass. And I was gonna post these videos, and I didn't. And he was like, why didn't you post your time at the shooting range? Like, that was so cool. I was like, because I didn't want to lose followers. Yeah. Because I thought some people would not agree with this. And he's like, that's exactly why you should post it.
Yeah.
Because the exercise of being authentic, not just relatable, these are two different things. There's being authentic and true to who you are, and then being relatable for everybody. If you try to be relatable to everybody, you're not necessarily being authentic.
Yeah.
And you will always stay the same. And so with fear in the passenger seat of my damn car, I posted that, and my top line of the post was, I didn't want to post this because I was afraid I was going to lose followers. And I have to give Chris his flowers, because he was right and he pushed me. And sometimes we need to have our mentors, our accountability buddies push us to do the thing. But that post got an insane amount of comments, like more comments than usual for me, more shares than usual for me, of people just like saying, this is my favorite thing that I've read today. This is amazing. Me too. Oh my God. And nowadays, with social media, we're finding it more and more and more, is that there's so much noise. There's AI, so there's so much sameness, there's so much content. Our algorithms are so chaotic. We have to be authentic and truthful, and we have to put our flag in the ground with our opinion. Yeah. We have to, or we're never going to grow. And that's scary, because it means that some people aren't gonna like it. And it means that you're going to turn off some people, but guess what? It means that the right people are going to be even more ride or die people.
Yeah. We live in this age of, I guess, cancel culture, and people are so afraid of not just being judged, but being judged on a mass scale. Have you ever had to face any mass judgment or misunderstandings the more visible you became?
I'm sure I will.
Yeah?
I'm sure I will. I mean, I think that is something that's going to happen. I think the bigger that everybody gets. If you look at some of the most famous people in the world, they're famous because a lot of people also don't like them. Like, you can think of some of the most loved people. Yeah. Taylor Swift. She's so loved by so many people and so famous, but there's a whole group of people that also don't like her and hate her, right? You're going to have people that don't like you. And so no, I'm really, really, like, I guess, lucky and grateful, but maybe I'm playing it too small because I haven't had too many moments of, people being really mean. There's been some nasty comments. I have some, of course, but nothing that's like really big to talk about. But maybe next time we'll talk about it.
Yeah, next time we'll talk about it.
I gotta keep stretching and keep being out there enough.
Yeah. If you had to give people one piece of advice who maybe are afraid of judgment or misunderstanding about putting themselves out there, what would that be?
If I had to give people out there one piece of advice around the fear of being judged, I think I would tell them that the people that are judging them, the only reason that they are activated or upset by or intimidated by or pissed off by your content or your post is because you are doing something that they were too afraid to do. And I know a lot of really happy, successful people. I'm very blessed to know people that are just out there living their life and they're very happy and they're very successful and they do the things that they say that they do. And there is not 1 second of their day that they are spending saying negative things to people on the internet.
Yes.
So if you see someone that's commenting negatively, first ask yourself, is there truth to this?
Yeah.
Because there always is. We can be self-aware enough to realize, oh my gosh, maybe there is truth to this. Let me ask, really, is there feedback here that I could take?
Yeah.
But if there is no feedback there and there is no truth to that and it is just somebody that is trying to be mean, please remember that person is probably hurting. That person is probably secretly activated by that thing because of something that they're too afraid to do.
Yeah.
And you can always block, you can always delete, and you can move on.
Yeah. No, I think that's such a great reminder. And in the moment, sometimes we know, but it still hurts a little bit. But I always find that time passes. And as long as we can keep showing up in the light, and I know something you're really big on is impacting at least, or reaching out to, but impacting someone every single day. And I always love to keep in mind that even though those are the loud people, the ones who want to tear you down, who have something to say, there's always the silent lurkers who you're secretly changing their life and you don't even know. So I always like to tell people to keep showing up anyway.
I just got goosebumps when you said that.
Oh.
It's so true. You never know who's watching.
Yeah.
I have a Facebook ad going right now, and Chris sent this to me today, that there was this conversation going on in the comments of the Facebook ad, and typically people like to say negative things on Facebook ads. They just do. That's usually what happens. But there was this really, really, really lovely woman who was saying all these wonderful things about me. And it was this one woman that I didn't know very well. Yeah. And I had impacted her in a positive way. And I had no clue because I haven't seen her, commenting or on the lives or anything. You never know who you are impacting behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And we need to remember that. So I love that you mentioned that.
Yeah. Even sometimes I've had some clients come to me and they've said, Jess, I've never commented on one of your posts, but I've been watching you for 7 years and now I'm ready to work with you. And you've changed my life in these many ways. And we just never know. But so often I think we're chasing that external feedback, whether it's a comment, whether it's a like, whether it is followers or some sort of feedback, even clapping if you're speaking to a live audience. And if we don't get it, sometimes we change our plan, we change how we show up. But I think something that you are so great at is continuing to show up anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely, it's a consistency game. It's a repetition game. And I think it's a speed game. And when I say speed, I mean speed to get back at bat. The more at bats you get, the better you get, and the more chances you have.
Yeah.
There's been so many talks that I look back on, like keynote speeches, that I'm like, that was terrible. It was terrible. I can't even watch it. It was so bad.
No.
Or podcasts that I did that were so cringe, or videos that were terrible. But if I were to just ruminate on that and be like, that was so bad, that means I suck, and that, or maybe a bad book review, or like a comment, or whatever, or something that like you just failed, or there was this horrible pitch that I did from stage years and years and years ago when I was first learning how to pitch from stage. And it was just one of the most awful moments ever. When I think back to it, I still when you still cringe when you think about negative things. And now it's the faster you get back up and go again, the more you build that muscle to get back up faster and go again. And now I am no longer a perfectionist when it comes to creating content. I'm like, whatever, post it. If it doesn't do well, it's okay. We'll do it again.
Yeah.
We'll try again. Back at bat. So everyone that's listening, the more that you can just like have the cringe moment, have the bad video, have the shitty talk, have the fail, because you're going to. If you're in this game, you are going to have webinars that don't sell anything. Mm-hmm. You're going to have pitches from stage that shit the bed. You're going to have videos that don't get engagement. You're going to have talks that you're like, man, I did not nail that one, right? And you need to learn what you can from it, but you need to bounce back fast. And the more that you do that, the more confidence you create in yourself and your ability to be unbelievably resilient every time you fail.
Yes.
And I think that that's what I've learned over the past couple of years is the bounce back. Like the more at bats, the better I get.
Yeah, it's so interesting because one of the first ever speaking gigs I did, and I was petrified of being seen when I was starting out, but I knew that I had to do speaking gigs to try and get visibility. It was a free way of marketing my business. The first ever event I spoke at, it was 5 minutes. All I had to do was introduce myself. It was the worst speech I ever did. I accidentally threw the clicker on the floor, broke it for every other speaker on the entire day. It was just chaos. But I always remember afterwards they had a mingling hour, and one girl came up to me and she just said, "Thank you so much for sharing that. It really inspired me." And I think it's sometimes we can think it was the worst thing of all, but again, it comes down to the impact that we never know we're making that kind of is the driving force behind why I keep showing up, even when I think it's the worst thing ever.
1,000%. And it's a great story that you get to tell. I always say, all right, well, this is going to make a great story.
Yeah, do it for the plot.
It's great. This is going to be a great chapter in the book. If it would have happened easily and if you didn't break that clicker and totally, we wouldn't have this great story to talk about.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I want to speak about speaking right now because you have spoken on some of the biggest stages in the world, even at the Aspire event recently as well. And I want to know, though, what it actually takes, because I think sometimes people on the outside looking in, it looks easy. It looks like you just get handed opportunities, or when you reach a certain level of success, people almost assume you don't have to try anymore. And whilst I'm sure you get so many incredible opportunities coming, what does it actually look like to secure speaking gigs, to put yourself out there, to get these opportunities?
Yeah. Well, there's so many different ways to do it. And I want to start with that because there is no right or wrong way to do this game of speaking or building your brand. And there's a lot of different like quote unquote gurus on the internet that will teach you different strategies and all of those strategies will work. You just have to get really clear on what your goal is specifically because there are many different ways to grow your business with speaking.
Yeah.
There is being a traditional keynote speaker where you're getting paid a speaker fee to go in to maybe a corporation or an event and you get paid and you speak and you leave and that's it. The end. You get your paycheck, you do your dog and pony show and you leave. There's also going and speaking at events, maybe not getting paid, but speaking in front of a room of hundreds of your ideal clients and getting to make an offer or pitching or speaking there just to gain credibility in your niche and them all following up with you, getting on your email list and you selling them later.
Yeah.
You know, and there's also just like going and speaking to build your credibility in the space. So you just want to be that person that's creating content all over the internet with a microphone in your hand because there is no better credibility marker than you standing up on a stage in front of lots of people holding a microphone talking about your topic. So that's also a way to indirectly make money. And when you start speaking, you need to get really clear on what is your overall goal. And your goal can change. Your goal can start as one thing, but wow, I actually really want to get, become an actual speaker. And that's okay. And for me, the goal was always just this really broad goal. And it still is. And I cringe when I say it. I don't like saying it because it makes me very uncomfortable, but that's why I have to say it, is that I want to become the best speaker in the world, whatever that means. And I don't even know how you measure that. I have no clue. But that is just what I want. So I knew a long time ago that what my strategy would be was, and this would be different for other people, but this is usually what I teach because many people that come to me have a similar goal.
Yeah.
The strategy that I teach is to build the brand and to build the audience and build the visibility. Because I knew that because I run events with my husband, we book a lot of events. And so I'm on the other side of booking speakers. And what do you think most speakers want? Most event planners, what do they want when they're booking a speaker? Like, what is their biggest desire? What do you think?
Ticket sales.
Exactly. So when they're looking to bring on speakers, they're not necessarily looking for the most talented speaker because there's a lot of really talented speakers. They're looking for the person that's going to look amazing on the flyer and everyone wants to come see them.
Yes.
So that means consistently every single day, building that audience, building that brand that I believe is an asset. Because the bigger that audience is, the more engaged it is, the more people will travel to see you and buy a ticket to a thing, the more leverage you have.
Yeah.
And then whilst doing that, I'm out there building relationships with people that have events. So this was years and years and years of me doing these 3 things, I would say. Number 1, building my personal brand, creating content every single day and building an audience.
Yeah.
Number 2, building relationships with people that have stages. So anyone going to events, going to masterminds, going to places where there are people that run events, that know people that host events, and making friends with them and saying I want to speak, and even getting up in front of the room and speaking for free, whatever I got to do. And then number 3, amplifying the crap out of all of that.
Yeah.
So posting lots of videos of me speaking, showing people that I'm a speaker, because perception is everything.
Yeah.
So people out there that if you want to speak, like, let's get video of you holding a microphone, even if it's in front of 5 people or 10 people or 20 people, or maybe you're on Zoom and you've got a microphone in front of you, speaking about your expertise and posting lots of videos so that people can see that you're talented, that you know what you're talking about, so that when you go and you meet someone at a party or you meet someone at a mastermind and you're like, hey, I want to speak, they go to your social media and they say, wow, this person does speak a lot, or they communicate this message and they are an expert in this.
Yeah.
And I would love to have them on my stage. Oh, they've spoken at this event. Oh, they were at this event, and just promoting all of it. And when you do those 3 things consistently,
Yeah.
you don't really need to be cold pitching that often, because you're building relationships that turn into warm pitches. And warm pitches, when you know someone and they're like, well, send me your information. That's much warmer than saying, hi, I'm Jen. Here's me. Check it out.
Yeah.
You've got a much better shot. And so I like just having the most opportunity for warm pitching. And when you're doing that cycle of just building relationships, building the brand, and amplifying it all, you're creating like a flywheel.
Yeah.
And if you consistently do that, you will have a speaking career. And then you will be able to start charging a lot of money for those stages. And
Yeah. Okay, I want to break that down a little further. When you say building the brand, is that mostly through social media? I know your background was really strong in PR as well. Is it a combination? What does that look like?
Yeah. Brand is your reputation.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So your brand actually combines social media, it combines in-person relationship building, it combines mainstream media.
Yeah.
Absolutely everything. The things that people are saying about you when you're not in the room, and the way that you make people feel when you show up in the room, all of it. It's all your brand. You and everything that you are and your experience in life, if you're building a personal brand, that's what it is. It's personal. And so, yes, social media, for sure, because that's where everybody's attention is. If you go anywhere right now and you look around the room, I would say probably 75% of people are looking down on their phones at social media. And so we want to be there. But also the way that we like to leverage mainstream media, my husband Chris is really good at that, is we want to create what I call CIA, credibility, influence, and authority. Because right now, trust is everything.
Yeah.
Anyone and their mom can build a social media platform. Even if they're not an expert, even if they have no idea what they're talking about, anybody can. And so now, especially buyers, consumers, they want to trust. Trust is so key and so important. And creating credibility through mainstream media is a great way to generate more trust. But it's not necessarily about the TV segment anymore.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily even about the podcast anymore. I mean, yes, people will listen to the podcast, but if you're getting on a major podcast, just the picture of you and that podcast host and you leveraging that the right way and telling the story of you were on that podcast actually builds the personal brand.
Yes.
You amplifying the Forbes article that you were in and showcasing that Forbes logo and saying you were in Forbes automatically changes the perception of your brand and gives you more credibility. So it's not necessarily the media hit or the TV segment that you were on for 5 minutes and people actually watching that or reading the article. It's what people see when they see you amplify it on social media, or they see it in your email signature or on your website, or if you use it as a follow-up in a sales conversation. Like, hey, I know we haven't spoken in a while, but I wanted you to check out this article that I was just featured in. We were talking about the same thing during our sales call. I hope you like it. And that just shared with the person that you were trying to close, hey, I'm a credible source. And I also wanted to provide value to you by sharing that with you.
Yeah. No, that's so important, because I think these days people believe I need 1 million followers. I need certain numbers to be able to open up to certain opportunities. But I love that you said the reputation combined with the trust, the authority, the credibility is really the winning formula. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that's really awesome. Okay, I want to know, How did you get into speaking? Like, where did your first speaking gig come from?
Memory of my life was performing and singing and dancing. So stages were always in me, but I always thought that my career would be the traditional way of performing. Saying lines, being characters, singing people's songs, dancing people's moves. I never knew that keynote speakers existed until I had my personal training company. That was my first business that I built. And I started building my brand up enough online to start getting calls from people that wanted me to like speak. I remember one day, this was the first one. I got a call from a company called Carbon 38, which is a like athleisure brand. And it was my favorite brand. And I was very like shocked that they called me. They're like, hey, Jen, we love what you're doing with your brand. And we'd like for you to come speak to our brand ambassadors and share your story of how you got to where you are. And I'm like, whoa, wait, you want me to speak? I had never done anything like that before. And so of course, my little actress mind is thinking, okay, I'm going to create a one-woman show and I'm going to memorize every word and I'm going to create this extravagant, like Britney Spears meets Michael Jordan, like showcase for these trainers, and it's going to be epic. And I thought that I needed to perform.
Right.
This goes back to the beginning of our conversation. Perform a complete production. And I memorized this whole thing. I practiced my little face off for my very first keynote speech that I've ever done in my life. And I walk into the venue and there's 12 people sitting on the floor in a studio, like a dance studio, like a bar studio. And I look around, there's no microphone. They ask me to take my shoes off. And I'm like, I cannot do this performance for these people. That would be really weird.
Yeah.
I need to just talk to them. And I threw it all out a minute before I get up there. And I get up there and I just start telling them my story. Like me and you are talking right now.
Yeah.
And it was pretty bad. But I do remember that about 10 minutes in, I looked down at the floor and there was a girl in the front row and she started crying. And I understood what was happening in that moment was she saw something in me that she maybe saw in herself, like something that she could finally see for the first time. And she was connecting with me in that. Yeah. And I wasn't performing. I wasn't putting on a show. I wasn't saying anybody's lines. I wasn't singing anybody's songs. I was just telling her my story in this really messy way. And she was getting it. And it was helping her. And I walked out of that little 12-person thing thinking, I don't know what I just did, but I want to do more of that. Yeah. And I didn't do it again for a very long time.
Okay.
But I knew in my mind that this was the North Star for me.
Wow. So then how did you get back into speaking? Why was there a gap?
Yeah. There's a gap because I had to go back to building my personal training business.
Yeah.
And so I was just hustling in New York City. And then I met my husband, Chris. And Chris, what he was doing at the time was these events. And they were called Unfair Advantage Live. And they were events for entrepreneurs to connect with media professionals. And this is where the PR stuff starts to connect. And I went to one of his events, and he makes fun of me still to this day because I was his new girlfriend, and I didn't know how to act at these events, so I had like resting bitch face the whole time, and he thought I hated him. But I remember sitting there watching my husband speak in front of these people, and I was like, wait, this is a thing. I could do that.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do. How is this happening? And I kept going to the events with Chris and kind of helping him, and we started to like go to other events together, and I started to see more speakers on stage, and it started to really click where I was like, I want to get up there. I remember what that felt like. I know that I can do this. I've got all of this experience, and I can do this, and I want to. And so we were on a walk one day, and we made the decision to become business partners and start running these events together. And I got up on that stage for the first time, Unfair Advantage Live, and I was terrified, and I was terrible because I had so much imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Standing behind, like, because Chris had run these events forever, and I was like, who the hell am I to be up here as his girlfriend? Like, it was bad. But I think back to the Unfair Advantage Live events that we would do, because we did many of them, as speaking boot camp for me.
Yeah.
Because they were 3-day events. I was forced to get up there and lead the entire thing behind somebody that was very, very good at speaking, which is Chris. And I learned from him, and I learned by like failing and doing very badly. I watched those videos. I'm like, wow. But I built keynotes and frameworks, and I learned how to sell from stage, and I learned how to answer questions from stage, and I learned how to manage a room, and I learned how to create emotion in a room and connection from doing these events. So during that time was really when I became a speaker. And then I started to go off and like book speaking engagements at other events.
Yeah.
But the whole goal there, remember I told you the goal can change?
Yeah.
The goal during that time was to teach PR because we had a PR agency. And so I was not giving motivational speeches. I was going around to events, not getting paid to speak, but teaching a bunch of my ideal clients how to get in the media.
Yeah.
And so we would get lots of clients from those speaking engagements. The goal was not to be a speaker, really. I mean, I loved it and I was enjoying it, but the goal was to generate leads.
Yeah.
And then that slowly evolved more and more because I slowly started to build my brand and build my audience. And then I wrote the book and the message started pivoting. And then I decided to shift the keynote and make it more motivational about being seen and the courage to be seen. And I think the more that you speak, the more you amplify it. Like I told you, the 3 steps, it just became a flywheel. I got on more and more and more stages. I started expanding the talk into more personal development. And it just started to happen where I was getting booked again and again and again and again and again. And I was like, I don't even care. I'm doing every single stage and I'm just going to keep building this thing. Yeah. And that's really in a nutshell how it happened.
How do you make a story really land? Because you are so great at bringing storytelling into all of your speeches. And I know I heard on another podcast that you used to teach a lot in frameworks and then you realize, okay, this thing's storytelling. This is really, really powerful. But I think there's such an art and a science to storytelling as well. For me, growing up, I used to be the person, I would tell you the end of the story first. Because I'm like, let's get to the point. Let's cut this story short. Let's get it out there. But then you don't take people along with you on the journey. So that's something I'm still working on learning. But how do you make a story really land for your audience?
I like to zoom in as much as possible. And I was actually I was reviewing one of my clients' keynotes today. And there's 2 versions of a story. One version could be, you can say, I say it like this, like, oh, one day I was walking down the street and I ran into this guy and he told me that I needed to buy this hot dog. And so I said, okay, and I bought the hot dog and I walked on my way. That's one way to tell a story. Or you could tell a story like this. One day I was walking down the street and it was a beautiful day. I mean, I was walking around and looking at the flowers and the sun and it just felt like an experience from the movie You've Got Mail. And I walked past this hot dog stand and it smelled so delicious, but I am on a diet and I'm counting my calories right now and I cannot have a damn hot dog. And then this guy comes up to me and he's like, hey, come here. You really, really want this hot dog. And let me explain to you why you want this hot dog. Do you see how we zoomed in? And I was the guy and like you saw where we were and you could picture the environment in your mind and how I was feeling on that day. And you saw that there was conflict. I don't know why I use this hot dog story. I would never eat a hot dog. I'm just thinking about New York City right now. I don't know why. But you could put yourself there and you knew what I was feeling and you knew where I was. And then I was the guy. So we zoomed in. The other one, you're almost like you're zoomed out. You're looking at, so I think that great storytellers can make you feel what you would feel if you were inside the story with them.
No, that was really, really powerful. I was already leaning
with
in.
my hot dog story?
Yeah, I was captivated.
I wish it was better.
Yeah, no,
he's gonna make fun of me after this hot dog story.
No, it was really, really good. Because what other tips do you have for people who do want to speak? Because obviously there's a big difference. You may get booked for a speaking gig and they're never invited back, versus someone like yourself who continues to build this incredible momentum because you deliver so much value, you deliver such a captivating speech, and obviously you stand out amongst a sea of so many speakers. What tips would you have to someone around delivering an incredible presentation so that they continue to get booked?
Well, a lot of it happens before and after the talk, actually. So we can talk about that first.
Yeah.
So we discussed that many event planners, what they want the most is they want to sell tickets. So if you keep that in mind, and I love the quote, the Steve Martin quote, be so good they can't ignore you. Most speakers do the bare minimum. They show up, they do their thing, and then they leave. If you can be the speaker that is the best speaker for that event planner ever on the face of the planet, you promote the event, you use all of their flyers and their emails and everything that they send you, and you promote and you're excited and you get people there and you talk about it a lot, they're gonna be like, whoa, because most people don't do that.
Yeah.
And they're going to think, wow, this person is going above and beyond for me. Then show up early, be kind, be nice, make sure that they're event is going smoothly because of you. Maybe you stay after and you take pictures with people and you talk to people and you provide as much value as possible. If they are giving an offer at that event, let's say it's a sales event, could you edify the offer? Could you throw in a bonus? Could you help them make the sale? The more value you can provide to the event planner, the more they're going to want to invite you back, the more they're going to want to refer you. So a lot of it doesn't even have anything to do with you and on stage at all. It's a people thing.
Yeah.
How much value can you provide to the event planner? And then when you're on stage, I mean, here's the thing. If you are listening to this and you want to become a speaker, this is going to be some tough love, because I think that there's a lot of people out there that think that you can just like have a bunch of slides and like get up there and just talk about each slide. Like you click, you see the slide, and then you talk about it. That'll work. And you'll be able to give an okay presentation, but you will not be the speaker that people remember. And you'll also be so unbelievably stressed out before the speech. And the majority of the magic happens in the green room before you go on stage. And if you're so worried about remembering what you're going to say, learning your talk, memorizing things, trying to remember what to do when you're backstage, you're going to miss moments of connecting with other speakers, of making relationships with the event planners. But you need to know your keynote front and back, forwards, backwards, through hoops, every single which way, so well weeks before you walk into that room.
Yeah.
So that when you walk into that room, anything can happen. You could have to go on stage first and not have a moment to prepare. You could have a zillion people backstage talking to you and you don't get a moment to be quiet and to like zone out or memorize things. Like you just got to go right up. Or worse, it happened to me one time. This is actually a fun story. I was invited to this event to do what I was told was a live podcast interview. Okay? Great. Yeah. It's amazing. Like we do what we're doing, right? So I go to this event. I see that there's 100 women there. I'm with my videographer and we're getting ready to go on stage. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a live podcast. I don't have to prepare anything. My videographer turns to me, Ricky, shout out to Ricky. He goes, Jen, which side are you going to be sitting on? I don't see any chairs. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Well, when they pull the chairs up there, I will probably sit on the right because that's my good side. And he's like, okay. And I'm sitting there and they're about to announce me and there's no chairs. So I'm like, is this going to be a standing podcast? I don't know. But whatever it is, I'm just going to have to do it.
Yeah.
And then they play my video, they introduce me. And as I'm walking on stage, I realize that this was not a podcast interview. This was a keynote. And I didn't know that this was a keynote until I stepped on the stage. But because I've done this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times myself on walks, on stages, every which way, on Instagram Live, every morning for years.
Yeah.
I was fine.
Yeah.
I could just give my keynote. No big deal. So my advice to you, speakers, is you got to get your reps. You got to practice. And you have to be so dedicated to building the greatest keynote that you can and being so damn good at it. Like it is your job and you are going to be the Michael Jordan of this. You have to be a pro.
Yeah.
And you will succeed because most people like to cut corners. And my grandpa always said to me, in order to become, he was a very successful man, one of the most successful people I've ever met. And he said that if you want to become successful in anything, all you have to do is do things that other people aren't willing to do.
And does that look like for you practicing at home or do you practice it in front of people? How does that look?
Yeah, great question. I go live every morning and those people, if you don't join me on Get Ready With Me in the morning and you're listening to this podcast, join me Monday through Friday. It's not always at the same time, but I go live usually when I'm doing my makeup on. And you might notice that I just start telling stories sometimes. And if I just start telling a story, I'm practicing a story for a keynote.
Okay.
And I practice my entire keynote live with an audience there. And I do that because it's a much different feeling to practice in front of a live audience than it is to practice in front of a mirror or to practice on a walk. So I do that every day, the live thing. But then I also do wonder walks. And my wonder walks are just really long walks where I perform my keynote out loud as I walk. And I'll set my timer for the amount of time that I have on the stage. Usually it's 60 minutes, but sometimes I've got a 50-minute stage. I just had Aspire 20-minute stage. Yeah. So I set my timer and I envision that there's an audience in front of me. I walk and I do my entire keynote based on the time, and I will just do that over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah. And I think those are the pieces that a lot of people just assume you turn up and you get on stage because you make it look so easeful, but oftentimes they don't see all the work that goes into it. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, I want to hear your loudest obnoxious brag. Give us the thing that you're most proud of recently?
My loudest obnoxious brag. And I'll tell you a quick story.
Okay.
And this I think will be forever my loudest obnoxious brag. And it has nothing to do with business, maybe a little bit to do with business. When I was, I think it must have been about 9 years ago, I was single. I was a personal trainer living in Manhattan. And I had a pretty good business. Like I was making over 6 figures, running around training people in Manhattan, training CEOs and celebrities. I had some employees that worked for me, so I was an entrepreneur. And everything was like everything that I wanted, like successful career. I had my little studio apartment in New York City, but I was single. And I really wanted to find love. It was like the thing. Every night before I went to bed, I would just pray, like, I want to find my person. And I started using some of the manifestation tools that I had used previously in my life. I was like, you know what, maybe I need to start like implementing manifestation or law of attraction stuff just to try to find my husband, because this dating thing is not working. Like the swiping and the dating apps, it was making me really depressed. And so I really got intentional about wanting to call in the love of my life.
Yeah.
And so I started doing a couple of things. I had a very, very strict practice. And I'm saying this because I have a feeling you have a big female audience that might want to hear this story, that are single and looking to find love.
Yeah.
I made this vision board thing, and I cut out this picture that was going to represent my guy out of a magazine. And it was a picture of a back of a guy's head. He was looking out at the rainforest. It was like a hotel ad. Yeah. And he was holding this baby and he's looking out, and it was like the back of a head. I didn't care about the baby. I didn't care about the rainforest, but I cared that it was like the back of a guy. So I couldn't put a face to him.
Yeah.
I put it up above my desk, and every morning I would wake up and I would write letters to my soon-to-be husband, and I would talk to this picture. And I would say things to him, like, I still have these letters. I would say things like, I am so excited to meet you today. I'm so grateful for you. I love you so much. This is what I'm doing today. If you see me, I'm wearing all white. Come up to me and say hi. I can't wait to build a business together. I can't wait to be a power couple. I knew that that's what I wanted. I knew very specifics about him, and I painted this picture. And eventually I had tricked my subconscious mind to believe that this guy in my mind was like my husband. So what ended up happening was I stopped being so thirsty and desperate to meet someone.
Yeah.
And my energy immediately shifted. And what's crazy is a few months later, I end up meeting my husband in a very random, very strange, very weird way. It was actually an ex-boyfriend ended up introducing me to him, and we start messaging. But what's really crazy, and this is where it gets a little weird, and I'm like, wow, I do believe in this stuff. When we moved into our first home together, there was no furniture in the house, and it was an apartment in New York, and it was actually my dream building. I used to train people in this building when I was a trainer. And every time I would walk into the building, I would tell the doorman, I'm going to live here one day. And they would look at me and they'd be like, go train your clients, personal trainer. I'm like, no, I'm going to live here one day. We end up getting an apartment in that building because we both were building our businesses to the point where we were successful enough to get an apartment there. And there was no furniture in the building. We were just moving in the apartment. He's holding my dog, looking out the window at the New York City skyline. And I'm looking at this image and I'm like, why does that look so familiar? And I snap a photo of that image, and I put it next to the vision board guy.
Oh my gosh.
The dog was not a baby, but it was my baby.
Yeah.
And New York City was not the rainforest, but that's my version of like what it would be if it was my dream. And I totally manifested what I want, but sometimes they say like it's this or something better. And so my big braggy moment, I think, will always be my big braggy moment forever. It's never going to be business success. My grandma, who just passed away in December, she always told me the most important decision, I could cry, most important decision that you ever make in your life is the person that you choose to spend your life with. And meeting my husband and, really sticking to my guns and deciding what I wanted and not settling till I got it and believing that he was already there looking for me and kind of like holding him in my heart until I found him is by far the biggest win I've ever had in my life.
Wow. Honestly, that story is one incredible, and I never doubt the power of manifestation, but I love that you led with that. And when I ask this question, I have such a diverse range of answers, but I've never had that be the answer. So thank you for sharing a different perspective.
Of course.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. Okay, before we wrap up, quickly share with us how people can learn from you and really start to master this art and craft of speaking.
Yeah. Well, we're in luck because the Get Paid to Speak challenge, which is a free 3-day challenge, is coming up on August 18th. I will take you guys through everything that we just talked about in detail and more of how you can kickstart your speaking career. It's totally free, so we'll put it in the show notes to sign up.
Put the link there and jump onto it. I'm going to be on there for sure.
Yes, can't wait to see you there.
Thank you for sharing all your incredible wisdom, and thanks for hanging out with me in Miami. We'll have to do it in Australia next time.
Yes, done. It's a deal. This was so fun. Thank you so much, Jess.